From deep in the heart of Texas, LifeTalk. Here's your host, Mark Crutcher.
Welcome to LifeTalk for August 2009. I'm Mark Crutcher, and lurking nearby are the usual suspects, Sheree Johnson, Johnny Hunter, Kristen Hawkins, and Troy Newman. And as always, Father Frank and Janet Morano will be here later in the program with the Gospel of Life segment. But right now, it's time for Alan Ackles with this month's LifeTalk News. Alan?
All right, thank you, Mark. The state of Nevada has issued a cease operations order against a Las Vegas abortion mill for performing abortions without a license. In a copy of the complaint obtained by LifeTalk News, the Nevada State Health Division's Bureau of Health Care Quality and Compliance found that Clínica de Mujeres, owned by abortionist Vicky Mazzarana, had various infection control deficiencies, including breaches in sterile packaging. The report also indicated that the abortion clinic was dispensing prescription medications without a license. According to the report, a list of the complaints has been sent to the Attorney General's office as well as the State Board of Medical Examiners. In a follow-up to a previous LifeTalk story, Michigan abortionist Alberto Hodari has been fined only $10,000 by the state of Michigan for the 2003 abortion death of Regina Johnson. In addition, the state dismissed the charge that Hodari's actions were the result of negligence, leaving only the charge that his conduct constituted a, quote, lack of good moral character, unquote. According to reports, Hodari has been involved in at least 3 other patient-related deaths, has been charged 12 times with illegally dumping medical records, and has reportedly disposed of aborted babies and other medical waste in the trash. Operation Rescue National President Troy Newman strongly denounced the fine, calling it nothing more than a slap on the wrist and pointing out that animals are bought and sold for more than this. According to Newman, we now know what a woman's life is worth in the state of Michigan. Well, a groundbreaking study from the Netherlands has documented that unborn babies as young as 30 weeks old can recall memory for up to 10 minutes. The study, which was published in the journal Child Development, also found that 34-week-old unborn children store information and can retrieve it 4 weeks later. Scientists studied about 100 healthy pregnant Dutch women and fetuses at 30, 32, 34, and 36 weeks, and again at 38 weeks, measuring changes in how the fetus responds to repeated stimulation. The authors indicated that long-term memory might also be possible in utero, but were unable to draw this conclusion in this study. In Geneva, Switzerland, the Economic and Social Council rejected a push by the United States and European Union to adopt pro-abortion language in their ministerial declaration. This council serves as the central forum for discussing international economic and social issues and formulating policy recommendations within the United Nations. After a heated debate, some language regarding reproductive health made it into the declaration, but pro-lifers were able to limit the proposed changes to language already reached at a previous conference. In Illinois, parents will finally be entitled to know beforehand if their minor daughters are being given abortions. This comes after the United States Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit dissolved a federal injunction against the state's 1995 parental notification law. The court's decision is the result of 4 years' work by the Thomas More Society. Since the original passage of the law, over 50,000 Illinois minors have obtained abortions without any requirement to notify their parents. More than 4,000 of those children were 14 years old or younger. Well, the Ohio Supreme Court has ruled that abortion providers must comply with Food and Drug Administration protocol when using the abortion drug RU-486. FDA rules require that the pill will be restricted to women who are no more than 49 days pregnant, as per the manufacturer's warning. However, according to the Ohio Supreme Court, Planned Parenthood clinics in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati were using it for patients whose pregnancies had progressed as long as 63 days. Several published reports have accused Planned Parenthood across the country of recklessly disregarding FDA guidelines in the use of RU-486, resulting in numerous deaths and serious injuries. In Naples, Utah, prosecutors arrested a 17-year-old pregnant girl for paying a man $150 to beat her up so that she would miscarry. The baby survived, and the girl is now 8 months pregnant. She told authorities that they came up with a plan after her boyfriend threatened to break up with her if she didn't get an abortion. The teen pleaded no contest to a charge of criminal solicitation to commit murder and has been placed in the custody of Utah Juvenile Justice Services until she is 21. The state plans to file a petition to remove her child from her when it is born. The man she hired faces attempted murder charges. Well, a popular men's online magazine, that is, recently published an article that instructs men how to coerce their girlfriends into obtaining abortions. The AskMen.com column was written by Isabella Snow, who is described as a sex education correspondent. Snow offers what she claims to be an insider's look at how women react to becoming pregnant and the most effective ways to dissuade them from giving birth. The column focused on the wants of the man while describing the mother as an irrational and emotional basket case who can be persuaded to deny her maternal feelings if the right techniques are used on her. A Florida pro-choice man has been charged with aggravated battery and sexual assault after he beat his girlfriend because she refused to get an abortion. According to police reports obtained by LifeTalk News, the 36-year-old victim alleges that she and Charles Daniels, 34, had only been dating for approximately 1 week. She says that after she revealed that she was pregnant by a former boyfriend, he ordered her to get an abortion. When she refused, Daniels allegedly punched her in the stomach, bit her, and climbed on top of her, placing his hands around her throat while threatening that she would never have children again. Daniels is now in jail on $70,000 bond. Also in Florida, late-term abortionist James Scott Pendergraft has lost his appeal of the suspension of his medical license. In an opinion written by the Florida District Court of Appeals, the board rejected all of Pendergraft's arguments and found that he violated Florida law for failing to certify why the third trimester abortions he performed were medically necessary. In 2001, Pendergraft was also convicted of extortion and spent 46 months in prison. And finally, after 72 years in business, Planned Parenthood of El Paso has confirmed that all of its El Paso and Sierra Blanca abortion offices have been closed because of financial issues. Local pro-lifers attribute the closing to their constant presence at the death camps and the faithfulness in praying for an end to abortion in their city. I'm Alan Ackles for LifeTalk News. You can get daily news updates by logging on to ProLifeAmerica.com. Mark, back to you.
Thanks, Alan. Well, lots of things going on in the news. You know, one of those news stories about this girl that paid a guy $150 to beat her up so that she would miscarry, right? And now they've charged her with solicitation for murder and charged the guy that she hired with attempted murder, right? Why isn't that just an alternative abortion? If she had gone to George Tiller or any other,
$2,000,
yeah, and paid him, you know, $10,000 to do it instead of $150 to just some guy off the street, it would have just been an abortion. Why isn't that just an abortion?
The AMA doesn't like competition. You know, this guy's obviously undercutting the cost of an abortion down to $150. So.
Well, think about this. Where are all the women's groups now rushing to her defense, saying she has a right if she wants to pay somebody to beat her up?
It's her choice.
Now, is this guy being charged with murder, attempted murder on the woman or
on
the baby?
On the baby.
What state's this in?
Utah.
I want to know why he's being arrested, because he was doing what she paid him to do. What's the deal?
Right. I mean, it looks like to me she just went to kind of an alternative medicine route.
Doesn't a woman have a right to do with her body whatever she wants?
If you want to pay somebody to beat you up, can you not do that?
Only if it's a nice little clinic.
But I know we're being cynical here, but you know what? Isn't this beautiful? I mean, I love seeing these charges because it shows the absolute hypocrisy of the other side. And this is what we continue to say. Everything that is happening within the sphere of law and philosophy and science is proving the point that the pro-life movement is winning. The baby is a human.
Absolutely.
The unjust law is always at odds with real law.
With reality.
And this deal that we're winning, you can kind of see it in this, even in this healthcare deal, that Obama was going to abortion's just another medical procedure. We're just going to include it in the proposed health care thing. And now he's backing away from that because they're seeing that if you put abortion in the health care deal, if you pay for abortion, 19 House Democrats have said, if it includes elective abortion, we will vote against it. And so now he's having to run for cover. And again, that's just more evidence that we're winning this thing.
But you know what, Mark? I think the whole agenda of nationalized health care is all about abortion. It's all about abortion. And one thing I fear is that if this is done, with or without abortion, it's just going to be a stroke of a bureaucrat's pen to put abortion into it. So we've got to fight it. whether they say it's going to be in there or they say it's going to be out, we've got to fight it tooth and toe
It's
now.
all about the culture of death, too. If you look at the rationing and the devaluing of human life, well, you know, if you look at the British system of how they measure your life in terms of qualities, and well, you really can't get that life-saving drug because you really only have expected 2 to 3 years of life, and it's not worth the cost.
People all over the
money.
United States are saying we'll have to ration health care because it'll bankrupt. Well, it's going to bankrupt us anyway if we do it.
And rationing scares me because you know how I think, who's going to be the first people to get rationed out?
Yeah.
Black folks? Is that what you're thinking?
Black folks, old folks.
Blacks and
little
freeborn babies.
Preborn babies. I mean,
Imagine my family. My wife goes in and says, look, I've got 5 children already. I'm pregnant again. They're going to say, well, you know what? Take this pill. I'm going to put you the only thing we're going to give you, not a live birth, but is an abortion because you're a burden to society.
In Great Britain, Belgium, where you have to have prenatal testing, and then you are required to have an abortion if your child has Down, cystic fibrosis,
You're required
whatever.
to have an
Because you can't foster that off on the taxpayer.
If you don't have the abortion, I know in Belgium, for example, a man had a daughter had Down syndrome, and they told him they would have to have abortion. He said no. He has to pay for all of her medical care. The government won't pay for it because they said we pay for the abortion.
But Kristen, it goes beyond that because, and I know you're right about Belgium, but in Finland, for example, I watched one of these cases where not only the parents told you must have an abortion because you can't push that child off onto the taxpayer. If you can't demonstrate that you can pay for it, then they have the threat to forcibly abort you. Because it's one thing to step up and say, okay, I'll pay for my child, and then them come back and say, okay, demonstrate to us this child's going to cost $150,000 a year. Demonstrate to us that you can pay $150,000 a year, or you're still in the same boat. And if you don't think that that's going to come right here, I promise you, 100%, it will be right here.
This new prenatal test.